Hey folks, welcome back, or of course, welcome to Lone Pine Tarot. If this is your first time visiting, thank you so much for choosing to join me for our Pick a Card reading today. And if you are watching on the day this is published, I wish all of you a very wonderful, happy New Year's Day of 2026. So for the occasion, we are doing a good old-fashioned blessing reading today. We're specifically asking your spirit guides a blessing that is finding you soon. So without further ado, let us pick our pile leaders to choose the messages with using the Seed and Sickle Oracle today. Spirit guides of our collective, of our soul circle, could you please help guide us to the right cards for each pile today for them to choose their messages with? Thank you. Okay, this one already says pile 1 to me. There is pile number 2. And I feel this one for pile 3. Let's unveil the piles together. So pile 1 today on the left, your pile leader is the Pimpernel, or if you'd like to pick by number, it is number 12. For pile number 2 here in the middle, your leader today is, oh beautiful, we have Verbena with the number 42. And last but not least, for wonderful pile 3 on the right, your leader today is very fitting for the time of year, and it is number 1, perfect for New Year's Day, right? Birch. Beautiful. So pile 1 is Pimpernel. Pile 2 is Verbena, and pile 3 is the Birch tree, though as I always say, you are perfectly welcome to pause right here if you need more time to meditate and decide on what pile draws you in the most. If you want my suggestion, I always say go with what your very first gut instinct or intuition tells you. Don't doubt that, okay? But however you choose your pile, when you are ready, you can drop down to the description box below, find the timestamp for your pile, and I will see you in our exciting chat for New Year's Day or whenever you watch this sometime in the future. The blessing that is finding you soon. See you in the readings, everyone. Hello there, my wonderful pile number 1. Welcome today to your blessing reading, and of course, as you recall, you were drawn to Pimpernel as your pile leader. Lovely red flower, and it has at the very center, I don't know if you noticed this when you were picking your pile, has a compass with the 4 cardinal directions, and that is because this card does represent in this deck something about being at a crossroads or coming to a decision or trying to navigate something. So, of course, we'll see your blessing in totality with all of the cards that come out as we draw them, but that's a little bit of a glimpse, I think, into what your blessing is surrounding today. So, let's put this over here to the left, as we usually do with your pile leader. And let's begin with your tarot spreads. So, of course, calling on spirit guides collectively for pile 1 today. Could you tell us a little bit more about the blessing you want them to hear about? Where is it coming from? What is it about? Where is it going? Thank you. Actually, I'm going to draw these 2 together. I was trying to draw just that one, but the other one came out with it, so we'll take it. And there is card number 5. Okay, let's unveil the tarot cards. So first up to bat for you today is the Queen of Swords reversed. All right, makes a lot of sense with what we were talking about with the Pimpernel, because the Queen of Swords is, excuse me, one of the court cards that surrounds logical decisions because she is in the sword suit, which is air in tarot, right? So it does not surprise me that that's there. Then we have the 3 of Wands reversed, okay, which also makes sense with your pile leader. Lots of synchronicity today, especially too if recently you've been trying to make a decision of some sort or trying to enact some sort of decision, but it's like the plans just haven't been going right or you haven't been able to figure out exactly how to plot the course. Okay. Then we have Temperance. Okay, it's the heart of the matter. Balance and moderation, things coming to equilibrium. Then we have the 9 of Pentacles reversed, which, as you know, if you've watched my other videos, I do read reversals in future positions a little bit differently with blessing readings. So we'll talk about that more in a second. Then we have the Hermit as the last card. Interesting. The Hermit. All right, pile 1. I'll talk about your tarot card spread as I draw your oracle cards too. So, what I am seeing from first glance here, not to repeat it too much, but as I was saying, due to your card spread and your pile leader, I think this blessing is surrounding a decision that you've been trying to make recently, one that's maybe been kind of confusing you, or it's been hard to really navigate or chart this particular course. For some reason, I don't know if it's you've been lacking the right information, or if you have just, like, it feels like it hasn't been the right time to go forward with this decision, or whatever the confusion is caused by. It's just, maybe you've been asking the universe, like, hey, give me some information that will help me chart this course, or will help me, if you've been able to chart the course, actually take action on it. And that's where that 3 of Wands reversed energy especially comes in as your second card, because that, my friends, is the card of, I have made plans, or I've tried to make plans, but things just seem to be going awry. So I get the feeling that the reason why it's been going awry is because of divine timing. I am hearing that quite loud and clear from your spirit guides right now collectively. And also because there's something about you having waited, or the universe having made you wait, I guess is probably a better way to put that, that will lead to a greater equal outcome. That's where that energy of temperance comes in there as your heart of the matter. And also, they want to assure you that even though right now it feels like you aren't getting the fruits of your labor, that's where this 9 of Pentacles reversed energy comes in. And as I said, I read reversals in blessing readings a little bit different. That's the energy that in a blessing reading is going to change. So right now you might be feeling like, I put all this effort in, I feel like, you know, I've crossed my T's, I've dotted my I's, why is this not launching? Why is this not getting off the ground or going where I wanted it to go? And so your spirit guides with that card are acknowledging that frustration, I guess is probably the best word to use. They know. They're like, we know you've been frustrated. We know you've been tired. And also probably that you've been looking for answers, because, you know, when we come to crossroads in life like this, we often ask ourselves, well, what is the best direction to take from here? Am I on the wrong path? Is that why this hasn't been working out for me? And, you know, as I said, pile 1, the answer to that is no, you're on the right path. It's just that there's a divine timing element here that has been quite prominent, I'm being told, in why this hasn't come to fruition yet. So that 9 of Pentacles reversed in the near future, as I said, reflects that feeling of frustration, but at the same time, that's what, in a blessing reading for me, being reversed is what's going to change. So you will see the fruits of your labor. That's part of the blessing they're talking about today. You will see your efforts. Sorry, I got distracted by shuffling the cards. You will see your efforts rewarded for what you've been doing, especially for those of you where this is work related. That's because of the influence of the earth energy of the 9 of Pentacles I'm seeing here. Although there's a little bit of maybe passion involved too. Very, you know, common sense wise, it just makes sense that passion would be involved in something you care or that you care about. But because of that fire influence of the 3 of Wands too. And I even see, you know, it feels like it's been a solo project too. Something that you very individually have been focused on. And I say that because, not only because the Queen of Swords is kind of an independent sort of character. Of course, she does have like her King of Swords along with her, like to rule the court together. But out of all of the 4 different queens, I always see the Queen of Swords as like the most independent, other than maybe like the Queen of Wands. Okay. And so that combined with the Hermit, especially because that's what the Hermit means, is, you know, kind of what it says on the tin. Someone that's been individually working on something, someone that has been going within to construct something or learn something, and then will bring that wisdom or project or whatever they've been doing outside of themselves to the rest of the world. That's the energy of the Hermit. So I think you've been independent with this. You've been working really hard. Feels like it hasn't really been a team effort so much. Even to the figure in Temperance, he looks like a lone figure, right? Trying to find equilibrium and balance between 2 things. I almost wonder, too, if a lot of you have been doing, like, experimentation. I do see sometimes Temperance, especially because usually she's, like, pouring 2, not vials, I guess, 2 vases is probably the better term to use, especially this depiction is it looks like 2 vases, right? This guy that he's holding. So I don't know if, like, some of you have been, like, trying to formulate something, or you've been trying to, even if it's not, like, a physical, tangible, like, scientific experimentation, it's that kind of meticulous work is what I'm seeing with this, where you like, oh, I'll add a little bit of this here, and then, oh, no, I'll tinker with this over here. It's that kind of feeling I'm getting off of this. So that is another marker as to what area of your life, like, your spirit guides are talking about with this blessing. This is where this fruition is coming pretty soon, is what I'm hearing, okay? So let's look at your oracle cards. That will provide the full story, but I do see that as the wise one number. Well, it's not a number, it's a fire element with tradition and order, which is interesting because that's kind of what the hermit sort of represents, is wisdom, someone who is the wise one. Although this kind of reminds me of the Hierophant too, because it's about tradition and order. You know, it just, maybe you're experimenting with the way something was, or like something that's traditional, but like you're bringing it to a modern market, or like to a modern audience. It's something along those lines. There's something with plants too, maybe, because he is holding, or it's not really, I guess, any kind of hand, right? The person is holding like a plant of some sort. I don't know, but you do have the element of fire again, which does speak of passion. Then we have listening. So we have a woman with looks like she's even got her own wings, as well as birds around her, listening for something. Have you been waiting for feedback too? And maybe that's why your plans have kind of stalled. You're like, oh man, I'm waiting for them to get back to me on something. You're waiting for them to answer you. It almost feels like, here, I'm going to put this sideways just because we don't have a lot of room for that big of a card. Yeah, it's like you've been waiting for feedback, and that's what spirit guides are saying is part of the blessing, is you're going to finally get that feedback that you've been waiting for. That could also be the interpretation, pile one, of the experimentation thing I was telling you about, that it could possibly be like if you're waiting for feedback from other people and that's part of the blessing that you're looking for is getting an answer of some sort, it might be on their end they were looking for like equilibrium and they were kind of experimenting and testing things out, so to speak, before they got back to you. So that might be another reason as to why there's been a bit of a wait, okay? Other than, obviously, like the divine timing thing I was telling you about. And then we have flexibility with the tiger and bamboo. Very beautiful. Being flexible, yes. It's required you to be flexible, hasn't it? Because you've probably been frustrated. You're like, dang, when is this thing coming to fruition? I worked so hard on this. I've been trying to figure this out. And maybe that is kind of the confusion that I was talking about earlier, too, is, you know, if the experimentation is on your end, it's very possible that the Queen of Swords reversed energy has been you trying to experiment with things, too, but feeling like you haven't fully figured out what to do or like how to formulate whatever this is, be it like a literal formulation scientifically or not, okay? In that case, too, if it's more of a solo individual thing for you and you're like, well, I'm not really waiting so much for an answer from other people, then the blessing in your case is that you will finally, shortly soon, find the answer that you're looking for after this experimentation. Or for those of you, though, that are waiting on an answer from somebody else, I feel like the experimentation has been kind of on their end, and that's why there's been this wait. You know, I'm interested about the flexibility. I'm going to draw just one more card of clarification on that, because I'm curious. Spirit guides, could you tell me more about the flexibility card? What do you mean by that? Who has had to be flexible, or like what is that all about? But because of such a high amount of cards that show like individuals specifically like doing things on their own, I feel like this is going to be like a great individual success for you. The High Priestess. Listening to your gut, secrets, and mystery, intuition, those themes are her domain. Interesting, with flexibility. Let me think about that for just a moment here. I feel like you might have already gotten some answer back, but you might not be trusting your gut on what that initial kind of peak of an answer was. I know that sounds odd, but I think for some of you, it's been like, maybe you heard something like, oh, well, we'll get back to you. And you might have interpreted that as like a gut intuition of, like in a negative way. Like you might have thought to yourself, oh, well, that's just them being nice. They're never going to get back to me. That might be the way like some of you interpreted it. And so it's like your spirit guide's saying, okay, well, you're kind of being flexible with your intuition here. Like you need to be more flexible with your intuition with this, because it's like, why are you immediately interpreting that as a bad answer, I guess, is what I'm hearing. And then, too, with the emphasis on listening, it's like maybe you didn't hear something in the right way. And, too, even when you look at the High Priestess, she has an owl on her hand. She's almost kind of like an Athena figure. And, too, there's a bunch of birds on the listening figure as well. So I almost wonder if your spirit guides are kind of saying you're not hearing something correctly. And if you were to reinterpret the way that you, interpreted that, you might realize that it's a greater sign of something good than you initially expected. Like maybe you're being a bit too pessimistic, pile one. I think that's part of this too. So your spirit guides are asking you, like, well, why are you so pessimistic? Like maybe you're misreading the situation. Maybe you're not giving it enough of benefit of doubt, I guess is how they want to say that. Let's keep looking over your cards here. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Oh, and that's the other thing. I forgot to mention this. Pimpernel also represents a decision that will soon be made. Okay, it means a crossroads, yes, and it means like direction because of the compass. But it also means a decision that will soon be made. So especially like for those of you that are waiting on a decision to be made, especially one in your favor, because this is a blessing reading, right? This is a positive thing. The favorable decision will be made in your favor soon. Okay, that's also part of the blessing. So, I don't know, it's like some of you, it's either you submitted something or you applied to something and you feel like you didn't get the right feedback back yet, or it's like you're afraid that you're not going to get accepted to something. It's something along those lines, but your spirit guides are telling you, actually, this is going to turn out a lot better than you're expecting. Okay, so honestly, like a lot of these things in the very beginning, like you feel like, oh man, I gotta plan more, or I feel like I'm not thinking through this logically enough. I think your spirit guides are kind of saying, well, I think you're over worrying a little bit. I think you are, maybe you tend to like over plan and be perfectionistic when you think like something is out of your control, or like something is like you're not going to get the answer back or the result that you want. So you think, okay, well now I need to like double down, nose to the grindstone, really make sure I can control this outcome. And it's like your spirit guides are saying, well, wait a minute. Don't rush into making conclusions. Just because you haven't heard a strong yes yet doesn't mean that it has been 100% strong no. It just currently might be a maybe. So we have that experimentation and deliberation energy that I was talking about, especially with Temperance too. Temperance is a really strong maybe card because it's about being kind of stuck between two different opposites. It's that equilibrium, that moderation meaning of the card, okay? So, but I do see that changing. Things will be in your favor, pile one. I do see that individual success. It might come to you in a way that is not 100% what you expected. I think that's because of the flexibility card is what I'm hearing intuitively, like, because I asked your spirit guides, well, what else does that mean with flexibility? And I was hearing it's like them saying you have to expect to be maybe a little bit flexible with the answer. So, it might not be like exactly as you envisioned, but it's still like a really good thing coming your way. So I'm trying to think of a good example to kind of illustrate what I'm talking about. Like say you applied for a job or something and you're waiting for feedback from the interview and you're like, oh my God, I hope they hired me. I didn't hear anything. I checked in with them and they said, well, we'll get back to you. And so you thought that was a no, perhaps in this hypothetical situation. But then they get back to you and they're like, okay, well, actually we filled the role that you interviewed for at this branch office that we have. However, we have this job over here open that's very similar for our other office, and we'd like to have you hired there. So that's what I'm trying to say about, like, it might be it's a good answer, but it might require a little bit of flexibility on your part in terms of it not being exactly as you envisioned it. Doesn't mean that it's going to be a worse answer. In fact, maybe, in that hypothetical situation we're just using as an example, maybe actually you would have found that you like better the other office that they might have wanted to hire you for, or whatever the situation is for you, pile one. Of course, everyone's going to be a bit different, as I always say in my readings, but in general, that's kind of what I'm seeing. Let's look at the wise one again. Tradition and order. I don't know if some of you are maybe also trying to get back to the way something was, too. That's another way that tradition meaning can come into play. maybe trying to apply to a job at a company that you worked at before, or it's very similar to something that you've done before, or, as I said, if you're trying to like formulate something or experiment with something, it's not really a new thing necessarily, but it's like you trying to rediscover something from the past and bringing it new to modern audiences or consumers, or, you know, insert however that applies to your particular situation here, whatever term. But I do see success for you. So don't freak out. Don't think just because you didn't hear a strong yes yet that it's like a complete, utter disaster. No, okay? It's just that there's some divine timing and experimentation and people trying to figure things out behind the scenes here that has been delaying it a bit. So just be aware of how you interpret things that you hear, just like your listening card says. And be prepared to maybe be a tiny bit flexible with the answer, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the answer will be worse than the one that you were hoping for. Okay, like I said in that one example, perhaps them saying, we're going to hire you at this branch instead, you actually might like that particular one better. Okay, so it might even be a better outcome than you're expecting, or that you want, or initially dreamed of, I guess I should say. Okay. So beautiful. That was your reading for today, my wonderful pile number 1. I hope that blessing reading brought a smile to your face. I hope it brought some clarity and, of course, comfort, too. That's what blessing readings are also for, that you walk away feeling a bit comforted by what your spirit guides are telling you. So if so, please like the video. Please comment. Please subscribe. You know the whole YouTube drill. I don't have to repeat it too much, but I do just mention it every video because every little bit helps the channel grow and helps me provide more readings for healing of the heart, for spiritual growth for people, and of course also furthering my own mission with the channel as well, and my own soul path and all those good things. So thank you so much if you choose to do any one of those 3 things, if not more. And as we say in our tradition on Lone Pine Tarot, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day, and if you're watching the day this is published, a wonderful rest of your New Year's Day. Here's to a more wonderful 2026 ahead for all of you, and I hope to see you in the next reading. Bye, Pile 1. Hello there, my wonderful pile number 2. Welcome today to your blessing reading, and of course, as you recall, you were drawn to Verbena, or number 42, as your pile leader today. Now, Verbena, very beautiful card. We have what looks like, I think that's a dove, technically. It looks like a dove to me. And it almost looks like an eel as well. Some sort of aquatic animal with antlers in the middle. And of course, the Verbena itself around the edges. And Verbena, my friends, represents, well, many things. But in this particular deck, it's about building connections. It is about attracting things. It also is a flower or plant that represents compromise and agreement. So these are kind of areas I think your blessing might revolve around today, just as a bit of a glimpse into the future here. But of course, we will see the full picture ahead as we draw each and every one of your cards. So speaking of, let's start with your tarot spread. So I'm going to put your pile leader over here, as we always do with those. And then let's draw these tarot cards now. So spirit guides for our wonderful pile 2 today. Could you tell me a little bit more about the blessing that you want them to know about? Where it's coming from, what area of their life, where it's going. Thank you. Okay. Actually, I'm going to take both of those together. See, that is 2, right? Yeah. And there is 5. Let's unveil your tarot cards. Oops. Sorry if you heard that. I bumped my little thing that holds my camera. That's what that noise was. Okay. So first up to bat, pile 2, we have the 5 of Wands reversed. How interesting, because right after I was just talking about how Verbena represents compromise. We literally have the card of people putting their willpower and their egos down to agree on something. Okay, so a bit of a synchronicity there that makes me smile to see that. Let's keep going. Excuse me. And we have the 4 of Wands, more fire energy. Then 4 of Wands, however, is more about stability. It's about celebration. It's about gatherings. It's about sometimes union between people. It can represent like a marriage card every once in a while, because it does represent like stability in the home. So I wonder if some of your blessings, for some of you, might be regarding more harmony in the home, because of the compromise themes that have been coming out. Let's keep going. We'll see. We have the Sun, beautiful. awesome card to get in a blessing reading. The sun is all about truth and light and positivity and happiness. Then we have, awesome, the Ten of Wands reversed. Releasing burdens, letting go of what has been weighing us down. And last but not least, we have the Four of Swords, another really awesome card. Lots of positive things here today for you, Pile 2. Four of Swords is all about rest. Okay, so I don't know what has been going on in your lives, all of you specifically, but I can tell you this. This pile is all about finally finding harmony after a period of chaos. Specifically, most of you, it's going to be chaos that has been derived from people butting heads, people bashing their egos against one another, people having different opinions and wanting, their way or the highway because of that element of the Five of Wands energy. Doesn't necessarily mean harsh conflict. That's more what the Five of Swords would be, but the Five of Wands can get heated, speaking of, because it is a fire card in tarot, but in general, because whenever ego and willpower is involved, tends to mean, people butting heads, people getting a bit argumentative even at some times. I will tell you this. The blessing is that is going away. We have not only the Four of Wands here, in that I think because it's the recent past position, that's what spirit guides are telling me, this is what you have been seeking. You've been seeking that stability in the home, especially the numerology of number 4, at least to me, has always been about stability, but also because, as I said before, the Four Wands does represent harmony in the home, celebration in the home. And then finally we get to the sun as the centerpiece of your spread today, which is all about, as I said, happiness and truth and light, positive turns of fate. It's a very, very positive card, one of the most positive you can actually get in tarot. And so I don't know what it is. I think it might be through the mechanism of truth because of the influence of the sun card. Because, as I said, it's a card of light, so it's truth coming to literally the light after having been in shadow. So I wonder if some of you might already suspect that, what's been causing this conflict, or what could cure it, has just been needing more information, or for some of you that might manifest in the way of people coming to an understanding with one another. Of course, some of you it might be that there's a piece of information that you have been missing, and then finally you gain that information and you're like, oh, okay, now I can settle down these tempers because this truth will come out, and then everybody will put their wands down, I guess, using the Five of Wands reference, right? No more butting heads, no more arguing. And then it leads to this beautiful energy of the Ten of Wands reversed. As I said, that's the card of releasing your burdens, letting things go. Things aren't so heavy, so I see the energy around your environment finally coming to, a bit of a, more peaceful, more harmonious, not so heavy. I wonder if it's even felt kind of tense is the word that really comes forward with the Ten of Wands especially, but in reversed, it's the tension goes away. It's finally, I don't feel like I need to bunch up my shoulders anymore. I don't feel like I need to, be so anxious, I guess, just because of all the conflict energy that's been going on. So I don't know what it is that's exactly been causing these issues, but it's maybe that element is removed too because of the truth that comes out. So if it's, say, a housing situation where, one of the roommates has been kind of, causing chaos and conflict, okay, or maybe people are just butting heads in general. It could be finally they kind of put down their wands or their swords, so to speak, and then that's what relieves the tension, or maybe someone moves out and you're okay, finally, that one chaotic centerpiece is removed. Okay, now we have light. Now we have this feeling of less tension in the home environment. Okay, or some of you, it might technically be around work. You don't have any Pentacles cards today, but of course, we do spend a lot of time in our workplaces, and so it's kind of like a second home to us, at least in terms of where we spend our time. So that could mean, maybe a coworker that's been kind of chaotic gets removed in some way, or maybe they leave this workplace, things like that. But in any case, however it applies to you specifically at the end here is the outcome. You have the Four of Swords, and just like it says on the tin with the knight who's resting in a beautiful field of flowers. We can take a breath of relief. We can put down our armor. We can put down our weapons. Things are okay. We can finally rest. Okay, so let me draw your oracle cards to, of course, get more clarity. I apologize. My voice is a bit scratchy, and I don't quite know why. So if I do clear my throat a bit, I as I said, I apologize for that, but I don't know what it is. It's been really dry air lately. Maybe that's part of it. Okay. So Spirit Guides, anything else you want to say to Pile 2 about this blessing, this peace and resolution after conflict? We have fulfillment with the peach. So I think part of this might also be too that there's like a fulfillment of a promise of some sort. I don't know if like maybe someone agreed to move out and then maybe they've been digging their heels in and then finally they do fulfill their promise of, okay, now I'm going to leave. And then that like creates the tension lessening, or could be that if it's like a coworker that has been causing issues or like people butting heads at work, it's like finally something gets fulfilled, like a project is done or like an agreement finally comes to an end and it's like, oh, okay, now things have been fulfilled. Now we have a reason just to scoot this along from this bad energy. That kind of thing is what I'm seeing with fulfillment. But let's keep looking at your other cards. Next up, we have the Vintage Wisdom Oracle. All right, we have, Pile 1 had this one too. Listening to others, and I do apologize, I do set this one sideways because it is a very, very big oracle deck, and I don't have a lot of room on this table, but if you always want to look at it, you can always look at where I held it up vertical. But yeah, listening. Maybe that's where this truth comes from. Someone says something and finally people listen. Or it could be like you've been trying to get people to listen to you and they haven't been. So part of the blessing might also be that, oh, finally people listen to you. Okay. Sometimes people get potatoes in their ears and they don't listen. Okay, I'm actually going to take 2 of these today for you today, Pile 2. First one that came flying out. We have the Guide with the element of air, inheritance, and correction. Correcting people on something. I wonder if that also is part of the information. And then we have the Fate with the element of fire, accepting help and guidance. So there's a lot about like guiding people on something, because literally like one is called the Guide, but then you have guidance as a keyword with the Fate card. I wonder if someone comes forward and helps too. Maybe you've been waiting for someone to come forward and help with this chaotic situation, and that's also part of the fulfillment. Like, they're like, okay, finally I'll step in and I'll help kind of calm things down. So for some of you, if it's a workplace thing, it might be like a manager coming finally in to save the day a little bit with like a fulfillment of, well, their role as a manager to help kind of tamper conflicts down in your department. If it is in the home specifically, as I said, like with the Four of Wands energy especially influencing that, it could mean that I don't know what it would be then if it's in the home, like guidance of some sort, but could be from like a different family member, especially because inheritance is mentioned here. It could be that even some of the conflict has been over inheritance. I mean, unfortunately, that does happen a lot where, you know, money comes to the forefront with a family and people start arguing over things. So if inheritance has been part of the issue, that might be how that reflects if this is a home situation for you, Pile 2, then whatever the conflict has been over that will be resolved as well. Okay, like things are corrected, things are fixed. Yeah, but I don't know, especially too with inheritance, maybe you bring out outside help. I know like sometimes lawyers have to be involved with those things, or like legal related things, especially like with wills. But then we do have that compromise again with the Verbena. It's like things finally come to peace and harmony and resolution. And it's like this truth rings out like a bell, and everyone kind of snaps to attention in the situation, and they're like, oh, like, why have we been fighting? Like, why didn't we just put down our swords earlier? Like, that kind of feeling. Like, some of you, it might even be like these people involved in this conflict, whatever it's over, it kind of, they look at each other afterwards and they're like, well, why were we fighting really? Like, I don't know. Ego is really the answer when it comes to that. A lot of times people fight just because of ego. It's not really about being right. It's about how their ego feels. But something snaps them to attention. The truth, I think, as I said. The way things inevitably are supposed to be. And they're like, oh, well, I can't really fight the truth. So I guess I gotta stop fighting because, well, the truth is the truth. So, I don't know. People trying to get their way, but it finally does come to a conclusion. Beautiful. Resolution. Fulfillment. I will draw just one more tarot card on the fulfillment card because I just want to ask a little bit more about what that might mean specifically. So spirit guides for pile 2, could you tell me more about fulfillment, please? Oh, I should draw one for the guidance one too. Okay, so for fulfillment, we have the 3 of Swords reversed. Okay, it's like someone promised to help reduce the pain of something. That's what the 3 of Swords reversed means. It's like reducing the pain or the heartbreak over something. Like a fulfillment of a promise of, okay, I'll help you lessen the pain. I'll help fix this for you. That's what that means for the fulfillment. As for the guidance, spirit guides, especially for those where this is like a home or family thing, what does the guidance mean? Or accepting help, like what help comes into the home for this? I mean, too, it could, as I said, be a workplace thing, but it's a little bit more confusing. It's in a home situation, so that's why I'm asking clarity. We have the Knight of Swords reversed. Taking action with truth or logic. Okay, let me draw just one more here. And then we have the 2 of Pentacles or Wheels, which is balancing things. Something to do with balancing, juggling things. Balancing finances is another interpretation of that card. I think it might be financial help, and not necessarily in the way of like money coming in, but it might be financial help or like balancing finances in terms of help in fixing problems related to money or rent or expenses with the home or in the job if it's like a work environment thing for you, pile 2. But then we even have that element of equilibrium with the 2 of Pentacles, which is like that compromise feeling we had at the very beginning with, especially the Verbena and your 5 of Wands reversed as the inciting incident cards. So, yeah, it seems like the guidance comes in terms of someone finally taking action with their words and with logic towards trying to help balance things and juggle things better. Okay, that's what that 2 of Pentacles with the Knight of Swords reversed means. Bringing more balance back to the financial side of things because of the truth, because of, I mean, that might be what the truth of the sun is, really. If someone finally, like, maybe they held on to it for a while, and they're coming forward to say it. I don't know why they held on to it, but that might be one way that that's interpreted. And then finally they're like, okay, I'm sick of the fighting, so they say it, and they're like, oh. And it might be some of that energy I was telling you before, where it's like people at the end are like, well, what were we really fighting over? Like, why were we arguing? Like, why was this even a problem in the first place? Because someone might have withheld some information, but they do eventually come out and they say it and they tamp things down. So that's the part of the blessing too, is finally someone comes forward with something that helps simmer everything down. So in general though, it's just, for all of you, it's greater harmony in your environment. It's greater light and happiness. It's burdens being released with that 10 of Wands energy that we talked about. The fulfillment of a promise to reduce pain. Okay. So someone will fulfill their promise to you where they promise something in that area. And then at the very end, remember the 4 of Swords energy of rest. So if things have been quite chaotic, like it seems, pile 2, things are going to finally calm down if they've been tempestuous, I guess is the word I want to use. If things have been like a tornado or a hurricane, it's going to be finally, we're going to get to gentle breezes and clear skies. That's kind of the overall energy I'm feeling for this blessing for you. So beautiful. Was happy to deliver that message to you, pile 2. I hope the reading helped you. I hope you liked it. I hope it gave you greater clarity and comfort in your day. And as I always say, you know, if you did like the reading, please like the video, comment, subscribe, all those good YouTube related things. I just repeat it every video because every little bit does help the channel a lot, even if you just like the video. But thank you so much if you choose to do any one, if not more than one of those 3 things. And as we always say in our tradition, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope to see you in the next reading, pile 2. Bye. Hello there, my beautiful pile number 3. Welcome today to your pick a card blessing reading. And of course, as you recall, you were drawn to the gorgeous Birch as your pile leader, or the number 1. Very fitting if you, as I said in the intro, watch this the day it's published. It is New Year's Day, and we have number 1 here. And Birch is synonymous with winter, and new beginnings is really the main meaning of this card. But also new chapters, rebirth is another meaning of the birch tree. as well as greater support with a new start. So with that in mind, I'll set your pile leader over here to the left. It seems like your blessings might be related around, say, a new beginning of some sort, but we'll see the full picture with your tarot spread. So let's draw that right now. Also, I want to apologize in advance if you hear me clear my throat a little bit more today. For some reason, I have a dry throat, so my voice is a bit scratchy. So as I said, just apologies for that. So spirit guides for pile 3 today. Could you tell me more about their blessing, please? Thank you. Where is it stemming from? What is it all about? Where is it going? Thank you. I don't know. The scratchy voice just kind of crept up on me today. Not sure why. Might be because it's very dry air where I live, so that tends to do it. Okay, let's look at your tarot spread. So right up to bat first, we have the 10 of Pentacles reversed. Okay, so that might mean for some of you that where this blessing is coming from is related to work, career. It is a Pentacles card. It could also mean that family potentially is involved because it is the inheritance card sometimes in some interpretations. So let's keep looking at the full picture before we say for sure. Then we have death. So the card of change, literally the card of rebirth and new beginnings, as we see the oak tree growing out of the skull of the stag here, fitting with your birch tree in your pile leader card. Just love that picture. It's so pretty. Night skies are pretty. Okay, got distracted by the shiny stars. Okay, and then we have the Ace of Wands reversed. Beautiful. Something about, well, new energy because it is an ace. So lots of newness. I feel like, I don't know if some of you have been trying to like end a chapter in your life and start a new one. Like you're leaving a lot of old things behind. Which makes sense, as I said, especially if you're watching this on the day it's published, being New Year's. Because, people make New Year's resolutions. But no matter what time of year that you're watching this, I mean, we do very often in times come to periods of life where we say to ourselves, I need to close a door and open a new one now. And that's kind of what I'm feeling off of this reading. Especially because of death, Birch, and the ace being prominent too, because aces are new beginnings in tarot. Then we have the 10 of Wands reversed. Beautiful. Great for a blessing reading. Then we have the 6 of Wands. Awesome. Okay, look at that pile, number 3. Wonderful. Okay, so what I can tell you, at least from this first glimpse at your tarot spread, and I will draw your oracle cards as I speak. At the very beginning, as I said, with the 10 of Pentacles reversed, could be related to career, although you don't have a lot of Pentacles cards, so that doesn't mean necessarily that it is for all of you. As I said, it could also be this blessing is around your family, because the 10 of Pentacles is often about family and inheritance. You might have been having some issues with that recently because of the energy of the 10 of Pentacles being reversed, where like something was supposed to be passed down but was not, or something was supposed to be going well with your family or your job, but it was not. If it's job related to, it could be literally like you thought you were going to get a promotion after someone retired, but then like it wasn't passed down to you. Like that could be one interpretation of like the inheritance meaning. It could also be that in general, you feel like you haven't been finding the success that you've wanted in this previous chapter of your life, because being the 10 of Pentacles, 10s in numerology with tarot tend to represent endings or fulfillment in the way that they interpret their suit, okay? So fulfillment with finances, resources, materials, all those good things that the Pentacle suit is associated with. So something along those lines for all of you. What I will say is I think you've already been considering a change, because you have in the recent past the Death card. As I said, that is the card of new beginnings, of rebirth, just like your Birch card, so very fitting. Lots of synchronicity in this reading, which is wonderful. It's also the card of things finally sprouting anew after something has died. Hence, as I said, it's like an oak sproutling here, growing from the skull of the stag. So, I don't know, I think you've already been trying to let go of what wasn't working. Like maybe you left that job, or you left this situation behind, whatever it was for you specifically. But you might still be struggling with trying to get things off the ground in this new chapter. And I say that because of the Ace of Wands reversed as the central card. That's what I call the heart of the matter. That's kind of what all of this, like if you were to look at like the hub of a wheel, it's what this whole blessing and situation revolves around. And the Ace of Wands reversed tends to represent a situation where we feel as if we don't have the spark for something, or we can't light something off the ground or get it going related to a passion of ours, using the fire symbolism of the wand suit in tarot. So it could be like a new project. Maybe after, if you left a company, maybe you're trying to get like a small business off the ground. That could be one way that passion is interpreted here. It could also mean like new relationships after. Maybe letting go of an old one, although you don't have any cups cards, so I think for most of you it's not maybe relationship related, but it could be for some of you. In either case, I feel like, because another really good metaphor to use with the Ace of Wands is like a match. It's like a match that you can finally grab onto to spark, to start a flame that's even bigger because of that newness or beginning energy of the Ace. So being reversed, like you've been struggling to find it. Maybe you've even been struggling to find what path you do want to take after this change. It's like, you want change, but some of you might not be sure exactly, well, what change do I really desire? I know I want it, but what does that mean? That kind of question. So your blessing today is around relieving the burdens you've had because of these feelings. However, what I've described so far applies to you, be it a job, leaving a job, starting a business, new relationships, trying to find a new direction in life, those things, okay? And I say that because of the Ten of Wands reversed. That is the card of, I have been carrying a very heavy burden and now I can finally put it down. So part of your blessing is the shoulder untensing relief of, I don't have to carry this weight anymore, whatever that means to you in this situation, okay? And then in the very end, I will tell you, you have a very successful outcome with whatever this is. So even if you don't know what your direction or change you want in this new chapter is, you're going to be successful when you do find it. For those of you that do know what you want, and you've already been kind of orienting towards that new chapter, you're going to find success with it, because the Six of Wands is all about victory. It is the card of triumph. It is the card of, I have won. So, in general, I guess to summarize, although we haven't looked at your oracle cards yet, you're going to win. You're going to win with whatever this is. And you're going to release your burdens with whatever this is, too. So that's the major part of the blessing coming forward. But yes, let's look at your oracle cards. Excuse me. There's that scratchy voice of mine again. We have the Smith. Ooh, hard at work with the element of earth. Overthinking and taking action. Are those oak leaves again? No, they aren't. I thought they were oak leaves because of the way that the leaves were shaped. I don't know what plant that is, but he's holding some kind of plant as he's holding the hammer to the anvil. And smiths work hard on things. They hammer away at something. They forge things under fire. And they pound metal into shapes. So it's oftentimes they are symbolic of someone being hard at work on something, someone having to hammer away at something repeatedly until it's perfected. For those of you that already know what direction you want to take in this new chapter, your spirit guides are basically saying, we see that you're working hard. Or for those of you that are still figuring out this new chapter or direction you want to take, your spirit guides are saying, we know you're going to work hard. Okay, so if you doubt yourself, pile 3 with this, do not. Obviously, because I already said, you're going to win. You already have that outcome of the Six of Wands, victory, right? Things are going to be great, but especially during the work of it, I think some of you might face some self-doubt, and your spirit guides are kind of saying, don't overthink it, literally, because that's one of the keywords of the Smith here is overthinking. Just do it. Not to be cheesy cliche with the Nike slogan, but just do it. Don't overthink it as you're doing it, okay? You're on the right path. Even if you don't know where you're going, you're on the right path, okay? Change really was the only decision you need to make. We have leadership. Yeah, some of you really are starting a small business, aren't you? I feel like you are. And then we have from the vintage wisdom. Okay. Well, that's funny. I was just talking about death means change. And look at that. You got the card of change within a autumnal scene, which is very fitting because autumn does mean change, right? But I'm going to set that sideways. I apologize. I just do that because it's a very, very chunky oracle deck. And I don't have a lot of room for this card on this table, but you can always view the vertical way that I was holding up just a second ago if you want to pause on that. But change, yes, change. For those of you that have been wanting change too in general, this is basically your spirit guide saying your blessing is this change coming your way after feeling stagnant. That's literally the energy of the Birch too. As I said, it's the card of rebirth and death too. Rebirth, change, new beginnings, all those wonderful things. So I won't repeat that too much with this card because it's one of those synchronicity cards. I feel like your spirit guides are just kind of reaffirming things that I've said earlier in your reading. But we do have the leadership card. So as I said, some of you, I think this really is a small business. Or for those of you that aren't sure about your new direction, I think being in a leadership position or doing like your own thing, maybe owning your own business might be the best direction for you. If you have been asking your spirit guides for a sign, well, what do I do next if you're not sure? Something with leadership is your answer. They want you to lead, okay? Because we literally have, actually, I'm going to be honest, I'm not sure why the polar bear is here. I don't know how polar bears represent leadership, but I will say it does look like that is Polaris up there as one of the brightest stars in the sky. It is the polar star, right? You can always find your way north in your direction as long as you know where Polaris is. And I mention that because for those of you especially that feel like you're not sure what direction to take, they're saying leadership is that north star they want you to follow, okay? And everything else will be figured out from there, just like we figure out directions from, as long as we know where Polaris is. We know where north is, and therefore know all the other cardinal directions to take if we're trying to navigate. So things like that. Yeah. Hard workers. And so for those of you too, like if you've been having a hard time getting this off the ground and you already know like kind of what you want to do not fret. Okay. Your hard work will be paid off, especially because of that Smith card we were talking about. Or two, like, another thing that pops up when we start new ventures is we initially have, like, a lot of burden upon ourselves. I mean, especially, like, a small business. It's not easy to start up a small business. It's not easy to start up a new job or whatever this new beginning might be for you, this new direction, or even if it's a new career where you're thinking, God, do I have to go back to school, or do I have to, you know, if you haven't had a degree yet, maybe it's the first time you've been to school, like college, for example. That's a big undertaking. That's a lot of stress to kind of think through between, you know, how do I finance this? What do I choose? Where do I go? What college, etc. Things like that. You're in the tough phase right now, pile 3, but your burden will soon be released. Okay, so they're telling you also things will kind of calm down very soon. All right, things will get a little bit smoother. And then, yes, we have that victory with the 6 of Wands. I do want to, because I did this for the other piles today, draw a clarifier on the leadership card. I actually will draw a clarifier too on the change card. Because although it's kind of that inherent, well, yeah, things are going to change, because you've had that oft repeated in this reading, I just want to ask like more about like where does the change lead other than obviously victory, right? Other than, yes, you're going to be successful, right? That's a good thing to hear, but I want more specificity. So spirit guides for pile 3 today. Could you tell me a little bit more about the leadership card as well as the change in general? What do you mean by leadership more? And then also the change card. So by leadership, they mean, well, how fitting. We have the Queen of Wands, someone that is the master of their passion, someone that is confident, someone that is charismatic. So actually that might be just a little bit of advice here, pile 3. If you are taking a new direction or a new business, whatever this new thing is to you, this is almost a piece of advice of fake it till you make it. I wonder if some of you might not be feeling like as successful as you should feel, or like you're not feeling as, like maybe being in a leadership role feels weird to you for some reason, but then at the same time, it's like your spirit guides are saying, well, even if you don't feel like you should be confident, act like you are anyways. Act like a leader, even if you don't feel like one yet, because that will help you secure the victory that you're looking for, even all the easier and smoother, okay? Be confident in who you are. Be confident in whatever it is you're trying to do, okay? That's what the Queen of Wands would always tell you. And she is very, I mean, all the queens are leaders, right, in tarot, but, and the kings too, but the Queen of Wands especially is Miss, you know, here I am and hear me roar. Okay, so that's her energy. Here I am, hear me roar. That's the energy your spirit guides are kind of asking you to imbue in the actions you take with this new path. All right, and then the change, we did ask about that. So let's grab the 10 of Swords. Interesting. Typically a negative card, because the 10 of Swords often represents a situation where can literally mean we got backstabbed in some way. It can also mean that we are, we got to the absolute end of something. It was like the dark night of the soul. literally there was no way further out than up. Kind of, a worst moment of your life kind of situation. So I almost wonder if that's kind of where you're coming from. In which case, well, no wonder why you want to change. Because if you've been in a situation with the Ten of Swords, like, that's no wonder why you're like, I need a new chapter. I need to leave this behind because this is not fun energy to be in. So in that case, it's the spirit guides just reaffirming to you that they saw the suffering that you went through where you were at this last place or whatever was the previous chapter that you're trying to move away from. And some of you, it might even be that you're doubting. Well, was I really suffering that much? Was it really that bad? This card is basically saying, yes, it was that bad. Yes, you were suffering. Yes, you were backstabbed. Or yes, you had some sort of dark night of the soul there. So they're very happy that you are making movements towards change. Because here's the thing, Pile 3, change is very difficult. There are a lot of people in life that will put off change as much as possible because we always think the devil we know is better than the devil we don't. Or I have a bird in the hand, it's worth two in the bush, to use the old phrase. That's not always true. So change is hard because, we like normalcy. We like the way things are going. We're like, well, yeah, it sucks, but at least I kind of know what to expect. But then the logical problem with that is that we don't consider to ourselves, well, how much better could it actually be, though, if I gave myself a chance for change? Okay, so I feel like that's where you were. You were in a situation of a Ten of Swords, and your spirit guides are reaffirming, yes, it was that bad. Yes, you should have left. Yes, you should have opened this new chapter. So really, that's kind of a congratulations type of thing from them patting you on the back, saying, good job, you chose change. Or if you're on that precipice right now, Pile 3, they're saying, yeah, go with change. That would be our advice to you because this isn't fun energy to be in. So choose change away from what drains you, away from what feels like swords in the back, away from dark nights of the soul. They want you to thrive. They want you to prosper. Okay, they don't want you to suffer. Spirit guides never want you to suffer, right? So choose change where you can in order to bring about a greater time of peace. And you will be justly rewarded for that change the risk and the fear that you have in making this change for this new beginning, Pile 3. It is tangible and it is real, but you will be greatly rewarded for facing that fear down like a warrior facing down an enemy, okay? It's hard, but you're foretold victory here with the Six of Wands and the releasing of burdens with the Ten of Wands reversed over here, okay? So choose to lead. Imbue that energy of the Queen of Wands of here I am, hear me roar. Okay, don't be shy with it. Go for it. Full speed ahead. Take action. Don't overthink it. Choose change. Choose new beginnings, which is very, very fitting, as I said, if you're watching this on the day this reading is uploaded, or published, I should say. It's New Year's Day at the time that this is published, so maybe that's even a New Year's resolution. You promised yourself, hey, I'm going to do this wonderful change. I'm not going to look back. I'm going to open a door instead of keeping the old one, or instead of staying in the old room. I'm going to open a door to a new room that's a lot better for me. In fact, that's literally what January is named after. I don't know all the details, but it is named after, I believe, a Roman god named Janus, who has, I think he's got two faces. He's got one face that faces the past, and he's got one face that faces the future. So that is why January is named Janus. And so in bringing that up, it's like, don't look towards the past. Look towards the future. Pile number 3. Choose the future. Don't choose the way things have always been. Choose the new. Okay? So that was your blessing reading for today. Just to summarize, if you choose something new, you choose a new chapter, you're well on your way to success in leadership, okay? You're well on your way to your efforts being rewarded for choosing better for yourself, okay? So that's your blessing. I hope that you liked the reading. I hope that it resonated. I hope that it helped you, number one. That's what I care about most, and if so, please like, comment, subscribe, all that good YouTube stuff. I hate repeating it every video, but I do because every little bit does help the channel so much, even if you just like the video. But thank you so much if you choose to do any one, if not more, of those 3 things, okay? And as we always say in our traditional Lone Pine Tarot, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope to see you in the next reading. Bye, Pile 3.